Welcome to tonight's iPhone edition of the Klown podcast. I'm Scott Burks. More on a little later. You can check our website, www.theclowntimes.net. You see it here. Speaking of which, get the merch at cafepress.com, such as Klown Times Sports. You find all the gear as well, where it's t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, you name it, mouse pads even. Got everything there. I actually have a mug, a coffee mug. I'll show y'all next time. But anyway, go there, cafepress.com, search for Klown Times Sports, get the merch there. Also, please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm coming up on 600 subscribers, which is a cool thing. I guess I'm doing something right. But anyway, please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you do not like anything I have to say, which may be the case tonight, either way, just holler at me anyway. I'll holler back. Because in any event, you'll be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did. And speaking of the man and the PIP and the picture-in-picture, I had to bring him back on because all things college football athletics, as it pertains to realignment. Of course, we know about that things going on with Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC a year earlier. He's an SEC man. And we're also going to talk about Pac-12 expansion and media rights deals, wondering what the hell is going on with that. So I introduced my homie. Y'all seen him before. He's an Alabama native, now living in Dallas, Texas. He's an Alabama alum. He's also an SEC elitist. He is the mouth of the South. My man, Cedric Hall, is back in the house. How you doing, my brother?
What's up, my brother? You forgot one thing to the list.
What's that?
I'm a Cowboy hater living in Dallas.
There you go. Yes. Yes. And a 49er fan, I might add. An avid 49er fan. Yes. God bless you, sir. God bless you. All right. Let's get to it, man. I mentioned this in the intro. The Pac-12, for some reason, is having a lot of trouble securing this media deal. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on, dude. I mean, there's talk about expansion with the likes of San Diego State and SMU. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
and that lets you know how hard it is for them to get a damn media deal because they're not going to do it with the 10 teams. So you tell me, man, what the hell do you think is going on? Are we looking at the final days of the Pac-12?
Yeah, I think those days are numbered. I mean, okay, so they can't get a media deal, right?
Right.
So USC, UCLA, are they officially part of the Big 12, or did that fall through?
Well, Big 10. Yeah,
Big 10
next year.
So they'll be in the Big 10 next year.
Right.
What's left?
You got the corner schools, they call it. Both Arizona schools, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado.
Those mark. I mean,
Washington and Oregon. Stanford. Yeah, you go. Stanford, Cal, and the immortal Washington and Oregon states. So there you have it. With the possibility of adding San Diego State and SMU. Wow.
That's a that's something to write home about, right? And San Diego State and SMU. I mean, it's kind of like they're struggling to find somebody just to fill those spots, right?
It's crazy. I mean,
I don't see how they last. I mean, I can see the Big 12 making a play for Arizona State, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly Colorado, possibly Utah. But I think that the conference as we knew it. I mean, I think I felt this when USC and UCLA decided to leave the conference. It was going to kind of be the same thing. I think they're in a better position than I think the Big 12 is in a better position than the Pac-12 is.
You know what? That is very true because what your boy Brett Yormark did, new commissioner of the Big 12, he went a year early. He's like, look, I'm not going to wait till we're a lame duck year. I'm going to do this shit early. And props to him for having the foresight because that's what happens when you get a guy from outside of college athletics who doesn't have the pettiness, doesn't have to kowtow to any schools because he's from the Jay-Z brand. He's from Rock Nation.
Yeah.
He's a businessman. He's a businessman, right? So And he
Which
did a
ultimately
great
this is
job.
about, right?
Yeah, and he did a hell of a job securing what he did. We could for the Big 12 without Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah.
All those schools still going to get 30 mil, 31, 30 or 31 mil per season for 5 years with a chance to re-up.
Right.
So he did a hell of a job, man.
Yeah. Yeah. With the circumstances, yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. And with this clown at the Pac-12, I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm just gonna call him a clown.
Yeah, that's the best way you can say it's call him a clown. Yeah.
How about he thought that these teams are gonna get over 40 mil?
Yeah, but what made
Really?
him think that?
He's a clown. He thought he could get that without the LA schools. Are you serious? Are you serious?
No,
They
that's
don't
not.
even
I
have a
mean,
major carrier the Pac-12 network, which is I heard is bad anyway.
yeah, but even you think about, okay, so he thinks that they're worth 40 million per school for the 10 schools they have, and you don't
Right.
have the LA and you don't have the LA market. I don't see how he figured that was possible.
No. But how about this? I have a wild rumor. I have a wild realignment scenario for you. Ready for it?
What's that?
I think the conference that many few people are talking about because their deal's now up for another 50 years is ACC. I bet they're gonna go and holler. How about this for Washington? They'll go holler at Washington and Oregon. Try to get those markets in Seattle and Portland. Maybe holler at the Arizona schools. Say, look, you saw what your boys, USC and UCLA did to you. Let's make this thing a power 3 and let's go. Now I don't know if they're able to do that, but that's a wild scenario.
That is a wild scenario. I guess the thing that I always I wonder, especially with the schools that aren't geographically located to one another,
Right.
is travel.
Right.
And I know that football schools, but there are other sports besides. I mean, there are a lot of sports on campuses that aren't, that aren't making a profit.
True. It's facts.
So when you have, we'll just use the ACC scenario. Let's say you're talking about Washington, and I'm just going to use the North Carolina, South Carolina, Clemson, UNC, North Carolina State.
Right.
So that's a lot of travel, man. To
Right.
now you're talking about everything's by plane, and you can't drive to any of these schools.
Nope. You can't drive from Raleigh, North Carolina to like Corvallis, Oregon. No, not Corvallis, but Bend, Oregon, or
Right.
Seattle, Washington. Yeah, that's crazy.
Exactly.
Talk.
So
but that's what the Big Ten is going to happen with the USC and the UCLA. So.
Yeah, you talk about those games that are played. I mean, traveling to California or to Big Ten country. That's a, I don't know if anybody really. I mean, I know they're thinking about, okay, well, this is what the deal is, and this is how much the deal is worth. But you have a lot of expenses in travel. Your travel when you don't have states that are connected to one another. I think it makes sense for. I mean, even looking at the SEC, right? You have the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky. Those states all, they all connect to one another in some way, right?
Right. That's correct.
And it's not the team. It's not football, because obviously football will always travel in style.
Right. Facts.
Because obviously, they're they are paying the bills.
Correct. Facts.
And I was thinking about even when I was thinking about, like, travel wise, and you're talking about a team like Alabama, which is kind of, in terms of the SEC, it's kind of centrally located,
Right,
obviously,
right,
in terms of footprint for the most part. But yet, Texas is, you got Texas there. And as I said, all these states kind of, touch one another in some way. But it isn't, it's okay. How do you got a baseball team, traveling to, Oklahoma for a game, to Norman, Oklahoma for a game, or,
right.
you know, it that it's those, lower tier sports in terms of, and I'm just using the word lower tier, not in terms of their importance, but just in terms of their revenue draw.
Yeah,
You
I feel
know,
you. Yeah, and that's the thing, which is why I think, man, a more likely scenario is the Big 12 will be waiting to snap up at least four of those schools in the Pac-12.
mm,
I think that what's going to come down to, dude, because at first I was among the idea that with the playoff expansion, the college football playoff expansion, the 12 teams, that I thought that maybe Oregon and Washington would be cool with being big fish in a small ass pond, because
mm,
that they have bigger access. They were not guaranteed access
mm,
because they take the
mm,
top six conference champs, but
right,
they have better access, right?
right,
And with the obviously the opportunity of a group of five school getting in there. But the point is that I thought
yeah,
that they'd be cool with that. But with the number of figures that they're throwing out, they're possibly having to go the streaming route exclusively. I don't
mm,
know if that would sit well Oregon and Washington. I don't know if it sit well to Arizona schools, to be honest with you. So to me, I think the Big 12 commissioner is playing a waiting game. I think that maybe the ACC from afar is playing a waiting game, but mainly it's the Big 12. All eyes on the Big 12 right now, because the
yeah,
Big
yeah,
12 gets those four corner schools, so-called corner schools. It's a wrap.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a more likely scenario for the Big 12 to get those schools than I think anybody else.
Mhm.
Um, I just don't see Pac-12 being viable long term as viability. I don't know. Maybe something may happen to surprise me, but it, you know, I just don't see it happening. And I'm thinking back, I'm like, what could they have done differently to be in the driver's
Yeah,
seat versus, because obviously the SEC was the first school to really like, hey, we're gonna grab. It really started with SEC grabbing Texas A&M and M and Missouri, right?
right. Back in the day, yeah, way
And
back when.
then things kind of moved a little bit, and then hey, they made a play for Oklahoma and Texas, and it's kind of like ever since then everybody was in reaction mode.
Right. Because you want to be proactive, not reactive, right? That's what everybody's scrambled with. And even the Big Ten was
Right.
in reactive
The
mode.
Yeah, the I wouldn't say in terms of, okay, when the dominoes started to fall, obviously the SEC was out in front. The Big Ten, they did what they did. I know the ACC's kind of stayed, kind of didn't have to do much, but they did really need to. The ACC, but the ACC made their power move. The Big Ten, they made a power move, obviously. Um, and I think the Big 12 kind of reacted to that, but I think made the best move that they could
They
based
did.
on the situation.
They sure did. They sure did. You couldn't ask for it because they got the brand in BYU. Say what you want about BYU, but that's BYU's brand. They
Right.
got Houston. They
Which
got
that's a huge market. I mean, you still got a
yes, it
big chunk of the
is.
Texas market.
Yes, it is. And they got Cincinnati. They got UCF from Florida, from
Mhm.
Florida. So they got Florida boys coming in now. So they did the best that they could. I don't think they're done. To your point, I don't think the Big 12 is close to being done. They're playing a waiting game right now. I think they're
Yeah.
waiting on the Pac-12 to fall even more over themselves and continue getting their
And,
own way of this.
and, and with this last, 400 million 10 schools.
Yeah,
Mm, I just think
right.
their dates, I think they miscalculated,
Severely.
severely miscalculated.
Severely. All right, before we get to your boys in the SEC, I know you want to talk about that with the expansion that started this all off. Let me just give a quick shout out to BetUs.com. So this is our sports bettors. Your favorite sports book, BetUs.com, is back for the 20th year of action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus up to 200%, BetUS offers their members the opportunity to cash in all your favorite sports, including NFL, UFC, and MLB. So if you're looking for live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds, boosters, props, and parlays, they got them. How about fast payouts and exceptional one-on-one customer service? They got that too. So log to BETUS.com or call Andrew 792-8887. That's 800-79-BET-US. You can use the promo code TKT for the Clown Times as well. BetUS.com, where the game begins. All right, your beloved SEC. Y'all started it with Oklahoma and Texas. They're coming in the conference a year early, which I figured that, I think all the parties around wanted this to move on because I didn't think that Oklahoma and Texas want to stick around for two, what do you want to call it, lame duck years. So we're just that they're going to stay for one more year. You guys got the coffers, you guys got the money to make the Fox Sports whole, Big 12 whole, whatever. So let me just say this, man. We'll ask you this. Oklahoma, Texas. How big of a rude awakening are they in for coming into the conference?
Oh, definitely a rude awakening.
Yeah.
I think sometimes what people miss is that I know they may look at a conference schedule and think, okay, well, you got this team on your schedule, you got this team on your schedule, but I mean, it's the physicality of these games, with you know what? Let me take a step back. I think the biggest thing that I feel like no one's really talking about is how are you going to prepare for? You have to be able to play defense in this conference.
Correct.
You just have to. There's no way around it. And if you can't play defense, you're gonna have a problem. And so if you look at last several years at even when OU's last coach, he left and went to USC. He did a lot of recruiting and development on the offense side of the ball, but he didn't do anything on defense side of the ball.
Right. And
even when you look at the championship run that Oklahoma made under Stoops, they had a serviceable defense. It wasn't the greatest of defenses, but it was serviceable. These high-powered offenses, I think over the long term, it's hard to, because when you can go out and you can score, in a minute, 2 minutes, you don't leave your defense much time to rest.
And so they're not known for defense in the Big 12 because they don't recruit on the lines, on either lines.
No.
Crazy.
Back during OU's run, they probably had the best, I feel like best in terms of defense, that I felt like was somewhat similar to the SEC defenses, but, I don't know. I mean, I think, I know we played Texas last year in Austin, but I really do think, obviously, what we had last few years from a defensive perspective, from offensive perspective. I mean, we wanted those guys gone a long time ago. But I don't know that. I don't. I think Alabama team from a few years ago would have been, much different than what showed up, on the. I mean, we can go back to 2009 when, when it got kickstarted. What we looked like then versus, obviously what we look like now is completely different. But, they were supposed to have these high powered, when you can run the ball. I mean, basically what they say is, the two things that win games have always won games, and that's run the ball and play defense.
Correct.
You can do those two things, you'll be successful. And I think that's typically what, when you look at some of the, premier schools in the SEC, that's what they do. They run the ball and they can play defense. Even you look at Georgia this year. I mean, Georgia's team the last several years is a throwback to some of those 2010, 2012 teams that Alabama put on the field.
Right.
We're gonna run it down your throat, and we're gonna, play great defense. So until Oklahoma and Texas put together some teams, put together great defense, I don't think I think they'll struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see probably not the same mechanism, but similar to what happened to Nebraska when they joined the Big Ten way back.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that their recruiting has suffered heavily because of that. Because how you going? I mean, it's different ways. Because in Nebraska's case, it was like, I don't know where you're going to convince kids from Texas and Oklahoma, the states that you recruited in heavily, to go ball out in the Big Ten where it's cold and mucky. Whereas in the SEC with Oklahoma and Texas, how are you going to convince kids to hold off Alabama and LSU? And I mean, Alabama and LSU already recruited in the state of Texas, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to recruit even harder. So it's going to be even harder for Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma recruits primarily from Texas. So how are they going to get into it? So they're going to, I think the recruiters going to suffer a lot. They're going to get paid. Most schools will get paid handsomely.
Well, look, okay, so you talk about getting paid, right? Look at Texas A&M, right?
Yeah.
Look at what they did. They went out and signed that class, and they paid. I mean, they paid top dollar, but I mean, they hadn't produced anything.
Right. And yeah, I know, right? And their toes are really on the line of doing it legally or not. They're just like, look,
Right.
We're trying to buy shit. We're trying to buy. They're trying to buy a championship, but instead they're buying 7-win seasons.
Yeah, right. 8-4. They've been 8-4 Jimbo. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you saw this a couple weeks ago, but Saban did an interview and he was talking about, a high school coach approached him about a kid, a cornerback, and they wanted, I want to say $800,000, and it's like, I'm not paying you $800,000 for somebody that, I have no idea is going to turn out to be anything. Your kid's in high school. He hadn't played a down of college football yet.
Right.
So he showed him the door. And then there was the other one. Here's the other one. As I'm going to say alleged, because this hadn't been proven that it's this particular player, but there was an offensive lineman that they believe they know who it is because the guy ended up transferring to Miami. But he wanted, I think he wanted his girlfriend to get into law school and for Alabama to pay for it. And he wanted some crazy amount of money.
That's crazy. Well, at least he's dating a smart woman. I'll give him that. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. But wow, the audacity of these young cats, right? Hey,
right.
What? This is what it is with the young cats.
Not only to get, to have her, in law school, but for them to pay for it. I was like, these kids,
SEC,
man.
The SEC, it is fan-freaking-tastic. I mean, I grew up in ACC country. I said this a lot. I grew up in ACC country, as you know. I love SEC football. I'm not just saying that because you're on the call with me. I've said that many times. If it came down to the SEC football, now it's about to be exclusive to ESPN now instead of CBS. But
right.
If you give me a choice of SEC football and ACC football, I pick an SEC football 10 times out of 10. If it's not Vanderbilt playing. As Vanderbilt's playing, I won't. But if Vanderbilt's not playing, I'm watching that game. I'm watching other games more so because it's just a bigger brand, it's a better brand of football. It just is what it is. And now I live in Big Ten country. Hell, I watch Ohio State ball. So it's what it is. It's this thing is nowhere from being over, right? No way from being over. But it's fun for us. But sad for folks that like the fans of the Pac-12 is going to be pretty sad. So one last thing before I close, man. When are we going to get you on Twitter?
I don't know. I'm kind of a Twitter stalker. I just like, kind of watching, but I don't really, say a whole lot. I kind of see what's, what people tweet, but I don't know, maybe. But I'm not sure.
And by the way, folks, you can follow me on Twitter at Klown_times1906.
Now I follow, I follow you too. I see what you post on other social media outlets, TikTok, stuff like that. But I'm more of a social media stalker than anything.
You play it safe from the sidelines. I like it.
I'll comment and like and this and that. But I mean, I'm looking forward to Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference. It's funny though. My youngest daughter, she's a softball player. And so, of course, watch a lot of softball. And so we're watching Oklahoma and Baylor play this weekend. And I'm thinking, man, because OU, they're a powerhouse when it comes to
softball. Hell yes,
to softball. And I'm like, man, it's going to, people talking about football, and basketball, but we're gonna see what happens in the softball arena because they recruit a certain type of player and they successful at what they do, and so
how about that? They got that cornbread fed young lady, I forget her name, I think she's Latina, who was a masher, hitting all those home runs. Was it last year? Yeah, I forget the name.
They always have a power hitter that the girl comes up the bat and she just everybody knows it. Hey, she gonna knock one over the fence, and but that's the kind of girls they recruit. So
yeah. All right, man. I'll let you go. I know you're a family man in Texas with Central Standard Time. I know you got stuff to do. I gotta edit this video off this phone.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah,
but thank you for coming on, brother.
Sure, man.
I'll be back on because this
realignment
is not over. So,
no, it's not. Like I said, I'm really interested to see what happens with the, how things shake out with the Pac-12, because I think the Big 12 has an opportunity to further solidify their what they want to do as a conference.
Facts. So anyway, guys, check me out www.theclowntimes.net. That's Clown spelled with K. Speaking of which, get the merch at CapitPress.com, search for Clown Times Sports. And last but not least, please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe. You'll be glad you did. And I'll be glad you did. Until next time, peace out.
Peace.